game thing too, because we're all original Sixers. So
Okay.
in Boston and Kevin's Montreal and Toronto, Billy's Toronto.
Yeah.
Al used to be the Rangers, so
Okay, so then I just click on
Ashley's
the
at-
microphone thing, right?
what? Yeah, we should have, yeah, so got that. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like what? I don't even. So yes, I actually don't know how to mute my new phone.
You don't know how to what?
Mute my new phone. I got the iPhone 13 and it's a
Okay.
very different phone.
Oh, is it?
It doesn't have any of the same as the other functions, yeah, or that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
So,
Does it have a side thing still?
it does, yeah, but,
Not the thing that you like click
I
on.
haven't read the instructions yet. Okay.
Is that yours?
You know,
I thought grab it, but I didn't grab it, so-
most of it's about the use of the camera, it's got a stunning camera.
Mhm.
Usually I see it.
Well, there we go, okay. I don't think that's the volume of the radio, but I'll give it a shot. You know, I know how to work my work phone impeccably, impeccably. Ashley, you know, Ashley is so wonderful at the front counter there, isn't she? She's so kind. Kim got new license for my rescue. Oh, wait.
All right. I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:58. Going 1 minute earlier today, than last time. All right, so I'm gonna start out with our territorial acknowledgement. The town of Colhurst is located in traditional Blackfoot Confederacy territory. We honor the Blackfoot people and their traditional ways of knowing and caring for this land, as well as all Indigenous peoples who have helped shape and continue to strengthen our community. And so we'll just get started here with the adoption of the previous minutes. Does anyone have any changes or anything with those? If not, can I get a motion to accept them?
Sure, call me that.
Great, thank you.
I move for the adoption of the minutes of the sixth regular meeting held March 1st, 2022.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. And then next we'll move on to the adoption of the agenda. If there's any correspondence that anyone would like pulled out. If not, I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
Can move that.
Great.
I move the adoption of the agenda as circulated.
All right, all in favor? That's carried, thank you. So now we're going to move on to our delegations and moving into a closed session to speak with Ian McCormick, the president of Business Development Manager, or I guess that's Benjamin. I don't know how to say his last name, but it's French, I think. And for our strategic planning proposal. And so I'm not sure what we do with the, do we have to, oh, I guess we have to go into closed session. Would someone like to make a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make that motion.
Great.
I move that the council close the meeting to the public for agenda item 4A, Ian McCormack, President, Strategic Planning Proposal, as per section 16 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act at 7:00 p.m.
Great, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried, thank you.
Shut it down.
Generally, we'll pull it out.
Okay.
You had a birthday last week or a couple days ago?
On
Happy
Saturday.
belated. Which, it was a big birthday, wasn't it?
I'm not even talking about that. You say.
That's exciting. All right, so we'll get back into the agenda here. So I do believe we have this motion, or Deputy Mayor Caldwell, that you wanted to put forward?
Yeah, if I could please, I will move that the Council of Town of Colthurst hereby accepts the proposal from Strategic Steps, Inc. For a fee not to exceed $30,000.
Great. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. Let's get that in there. And then we're going to move into business arising from previous minutes. And so we'll start it with the Coal Policy Committee. We're going to use a statement from the chair. Is there any questions or comments on this item? Nope. Or go ahead.
Sorry, just a question, do you
Yes.
need to amend that previous motion for the section 16, section 20?
Can we just go back to it and see that? Which part of there, Councilor Atkins?
Were we just changing the wording on that one to include the CCA?
Oh, I think it was already changed.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that was covered properly.
Good. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so now we're gonna go into the Coal Policy Committee. Any questions or comments on this item here? No? All right, we'll move on to the Alberta Utilities Commission regarding the franchising fee amendment for 5 municipalities proceeding 27-189. Any questions or comments on this? Go ahead.
Yeah, I've just had a few questions from the community about this one. Is there a way that we can maybe share some information on what it is and what it covers to the public so that they're aware of what it is? So it's not just kind of like, why is this going up and what is this number kind of thing, just to add a little bit of transparency to that. I think that could answer some of the questions that the public are asking, because I've had a couple questions just saying, hey, what is this? Why is it going up kind of thing?
CA Hodo, is that something that you could get together that could go maybe on social media as well as in the town news more about that franchising fee?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, basically as indicated, it's in a sense a grant in lieu for the Fortis wires and poles and that type of stuff in town. And we do have the option every year to increase or decrease the rate. And obviously, as you can see by the rider that's attached, I mean, we're certainly not on the high end of things. But there are people that look at it as, you know, it does appear on obviously your bill. And some look at it as, is it a hidden tax? Is it not a hidden tax? I guess is the way you want to look at it. But we can certainly indicate something to the effect of, yeah, the franchise fee with Fortis was increased by 1%, and it covers a little bit of this, will cover some of that effect.
Sure, does that work for you?
Yeah, that should be good.
Great, thank you. Councilor Moultrie?
I think some of the information we received when we decided to increase the rate would be nice to share as well, because I think there was, in that perspective, that an average household would pay an additional, whatever it was, 30 cents a month or something like that. That would be great information to share with people, saying, give them a perspective on what the change in impact, how it might impact them.
Thank you. Anything else on this item? Okay, we'll move into our Lethbridge County, this is when we were talking about the RCMP Town Hall meeting. CA Ahoto, we had asked you to reach out to them to see if you have a little bit more information.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So I did talk to the CAO of the county in terms of this. She did indicate that they were, some of this, there would be K Division people present at this meeting. Mr. Baraki, Constable Baraki, or Superintendent Baraki, I think was the one they're hoping to be there, in addition to obviously the Coaldale Staff Sergeant, et cetera. And as indicated in their thing, they said basically they were looking at it as a rural policing issue, I guess in a sense, you know, support for our CMP somewhat, I think, to get it, not necessarily a town hall as we indicated, you know, if we did have a town hall in the future and certainly in the past, you know, staff sergeants of the day have indicated they would be present for that too, to answer questions and do whatever. She indicated this wasn't so much a county thing, but because of the K Division representation, that's why they extended the invitation to all the municipalities within the county. But that's where it goes from there. So I would say, you know, once the meeting's there, that's the intent.
just to clarify, because one of the things we had asked about is like the potential to be almost a partner in this, and it's, so just for clarification, is it the county that is putting this on?
they're the ones that extended the invitation to the RCMP to come down and talk about this further, and obviously they've been very vocal, I think, with their league, et cetera, in terms of obviously supporting the RCMP and that type of stuff, so.
I'd like to hear from council, some thoughts on this, if this is something that we'd like to put out, and also, I guess to attend on our, as well.
Are they giving us any feedback on responses from other communities, or
I didn't get anything in terms of
nothing
that.
from that, eh? Yeah.
I wonder if there's a way that we can frame this in a way that, that says like, you know, that this is happening, the county is putting this on, there will be some people from K Division there, they're focusing on rural policing. And we have heard from our community that this is important for our community as well, for more of like community policing within Colehurst. That we will be setting up something in addition to this, if they're looking at more of that perspective. Because I do think that it does provide something that people may be interested in from that, you know, from the K Division component of it, that we should, I think, do that, even if we can't be a formal partner in it, is kind of my thought, but follow it up with that we will also be setting something up for our community. Councilor Evans?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think it's good to get it out there for people so that if they do want to partake in it, they can, instead of us kind of keeping it from them. But at the same time, I think it's important to do something within the town as well. So if we could plan for that down the road and just say, you know, like, we don't have the details, but it's something that we want to do in the near future, I think that would be a benefit.
Thoughts from Councilor Potry or Deputy Mayor Football?
Well, I already supported it.
Okay.
Last time we talked about it, and I have a genuine meeting, so I think we should send it out.
Yeah, I agree as well. I agree that it should go hand in hand with the information that they have the choice to attend this, as well as a future one that Colehurst will be
Perfect.
hosting.
All right, so we do have potential for some council members to attend, to attend this, and so, is there anyone that would like to attend this? It is on the 23rd, Celia, how did you know what time it is at?
It says 6:30 to 8:30.
6:30, okay, perfect, thank you. That is the. What's next one?
Next Thursday.
Wednesday, right? Yeah, Wednesday. Okay.
I'd be very interested in attending
Okay.
as well.
I would like to attend this as well. Is there anyone else that would like to attend? Nope, okay. I will make the motion that, Deputy Mayor Caldwell and myself are authorized to attend the RCMP Town Hall meeting in Diamond City on March 23rd, 2022. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried, thank you. Okay, so let's go into bylaw or persons. So we're gonna start with our committee minutes from our committee of the whole. We did have one recommendation that did come forward there. This is regarding the solar generation system update. And I think that was your motion.
It is.
Do you want to read it? Or do you want me?
Battery died.
Yeah, is your laptop plugged in?
So, with that battery die, that also supports our online communication,
No,
so,
we're still online. It's just that our minutes.
so it's just, okay. So
The officers in that, we talked about that, so it's.
There we go. We'll get it back on here.
all right.
Does it usually take this long class, or is it just kind of do it? Is it?
It's just,
Oh, there we go, okay. Okay, perfect, there we go.
Okay, thank you. So I will move that the Council of Town of Colehurst hereby approve completing the solar generation system project at the Sewer Lagoon site only at this time.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Sorry, does this, our motion doesn't really provide any information about what the extent of the solar project was, that we discussed. So and the minutes don't really show that either. So I'm just, we had discussed a budget number about this, and it's not included anywhere in the documentation that I can see. So that's my only concern with the motion.
Okay, so we were voting on it and you stopped as a question just as we were voting. So I think based on that,
It still is carried.
I think Councillor Potry initiated the conversation and held his hand up to initiate the conversation as we were about to take the vote. So I don't know if that means that we can continue the conversation about this.
Well, it was right before I was allowed to take the vote, so I guess that this could be part of the discussion, if we want to go down that route, and then, we can look at some potentially amendments.
And that's exactly what my point was, is that I think that Councillor Potry's raised a good point, and I was wondering if perhaps if he was asking to have some of the budget implications as well as the proposed grants for this within the minutes, or were you requesting a friendly amendment on this motion to include that information?
I don't mind either way, I suppose. Both as a public member, if I was interested in finding out about the solar generation project and how much the town is spending on solar generation,
Mhm.
I find it very obtuse to find out why are we making this motion. So, because there's yeah, it just doesn't, that's my concern, I guess, right? So
I wonder if we can ask administration and Mayor Montina, if we can request administration in sort of just unpack some of the conversation we had around it a little bit better in the minutes and include perhaps some of the budget implications if we go forward with this versus if we went forward with the whole project. And what are, the grants that we've already been committed to for this.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess we could put in like, at the sewer dune site only at this time for the cost of this, the cost was estimated there, I think 94,000, make something to that effect.
that's how much the town would pay,
Yeah,
yes.
and so we
And
could
then the
put
rest
that,
would be covered by grants.
or we could say, at a cost of 140, with less MCCAC funding to the tune of town's cost of 94,000.
That would be better.
That's what all we could really put in the motion, and you can't put a whole lot more than
No,
that.
no, that's fine.
Yeah. we could
Just to add that to the motion?
Yes.
add that.
So administration, Mayor Montin's administration then requesting that we have it within the motion, or can it be in the minutes outside of the motion?
I believe what we're saying is that we would like this within the motion at this point, so that it is documented for public, because they don't see I don't believe they see our committee of the whole minutes at this point in time. So from what I'm gathering, you would like it in this motion.
Okay, and so, based on that, I'll accept your friendly amendment
Okay.
to include the dollar values in that motion.
Great.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. Okay, so the next part here is the motion to accept the committee minutes from committee of the whole, as presented.
I can make that motion.
Okay.
So I move that the committee minutes presented in this meeting are accepted.
Any discussion?
So, sorry, do we need to rediscuss like what you were saying, Tessie, about the minutes?
I feel that it's covered now with this, so.
All in favor? That's carried, thank you. All right, we'll move on to the CAO report. Is there anything, CAO Hada, that you would like to highlight in particular for us, or is there any questions from council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just, I guess, number 5 there, just the staffing. So I do have hired 2 individuals there for the vacant positions that we have in place. One has started this week, and the other one starts April 11th. So look forward to welcoming them to the team. And And the other one, just number 9, just briefly, I guess, in terms of the main constructed wetland stormwater facility, we're administratively looking at a kind of a rough 75% finalized design, so we'll probably be coming forward to council with that sort of thing here shortly, once it's just fine-tuned the tab, so progress on that as well, so.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Councilor Ackermans?
Yeah, just a quick question on the water rights, I believe it was. So just for point number 4, transfer of water allocation. I'm just curious, is that the 25 acreage feet that is mentioned in the council register? Okay.
Councilor Peltry?
Regarding the constructed wetland, the 75, so the final design is only inclusive of the wetland itself and the plantings that encompass that wetland. It's not including any, is it including pathways, or I guess I'm curious what the final design entails. That's my question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, basically, in looking at it, there is potential that we would have in there the wetland as well as the planting, a little bit of the pathway around there, possibly, not totally, but maybe linking towards the main part of town, not all the way up and around final, but it also includes a little bit of drainage from Lafarge into the big pond or whatever is part of the scenario as well, which we talked about in the overall plan. So not a full walking trail around it, but a little bit of a link to perhaps the other part of town from there, so. Yeah.
What about all the specialized plants that they?
That's all part of it too, is that, and actually, if you, you know, the hole that's been dug there, I mean, it looks like it's a hole, but actually it's close to the finalized grading and stuff is kind of there already in a sense, so it's just a little bit fine tuning to do that and work on some other. Actually got a little bit more bonus out of the digging of the dirt there than we thought originally, so that's positive.
Wonderful.
Great. Would someone like to make a motion to accept the CAO report? Councilor Lawrence?
I move that the Chief Administrative Officer's report is hereby accepted as presented.
Any further discussion? All in favor? That's carried. All right, and so we are going to do the council member reports. As I had indicated before, it would be great if we could have these written. And so what I'm going to do, just to make sure we have a reminder, is put that in our council communications, I don't know, content calendar that I made as just something as a reminder for everybody. Thank you, Councilor Peltry, for sending yours. It was fantastic. But in the meantime, for the minutes, is there anything that anyone would like to update on? Maybe we'll just give you a couple minutes to click on to touch on some high points potentially, or things that you may have questions about. We'll start with Councilor Ackermans.
Sure. The only things that I've really been up to is the EOEP Finance Course Session 3 and Session 4 on March 2nd and 9th, and then committee the whole meeting. Finance course I thought was awesome. It was a really good resource. I'm kind of putting together some notes on that, and I'll share that with the group. But I found it very, very valuable as a course. It was a lot better than this one, in my opinion. And if you guys have the opportunity to take it, I'd highly recommend it.
Thank you. Councilor Forrest, is there anything that you would like to touch on?
So super high level, I did the municipal finance and planning too. I did post it on the group if anybody else was interested in it, but then I just wanted to mention, and Councilor Ackermans is the chair of this committee, but we do have a bylaw coming up. So if anybody has any recommendations for that, just pop them in so we can look at them. So that's coming up on Monday.
All right, thank you. Councilor Peltry, is there anything that you'd like to go add on to from your?
Draw from my report.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that when Heather and I did the affordable needs housing assessment, it was really good to see that they're implementing tools and frameworks to allow us to access the funding more equitably. And I think that we should be moving on that sooner rather than later to see if we can to see how affordable our housing is, I guess, and if we qualify for some funding. So that would be my advice for that. And then regarding the my only other thought was on the we haven't had a sorry, what's it called? Volunteer Appreciation Committee meeting, and I know it's coming up to September again in a few months. So I'm wondering what everyone's thoughts are if we should try and have it in the fall or try and have it earlier. I guess is my kind of main question. But and then maybe you can send us your feedback of what you think, and Council Flores and I can take that into account when we try to schedule a meeting with our CA Ohio. And I don't know whoever needs on that committee. Is it?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for information on that, we did appoint a couple members to that from council. There also is a policy in there that we set a date of the third or the last Saturday in November.
November, yes, sorry.
But we, a few years ago, because it was kind of all over the map, we did some in September, we did them in March, we did them in April, we kind of went all over. So there was sort of set, and we have, I think at this point, the hall is booked for that particular weekend. So if you're looking at alternate dates or something, with COVID relaxation, we need to know that pretty quick because it's going up.
Sorry, can I just, in the past, although we did have that date set, we had also had a sort of a community-wide volunteer appreciation where we did a barbecue down at Miners Park. And, we had entertainment and just really thanked the community at large. So I don't know if that would be something that, or are you just looking for?
I'm not sure really. I feel like we should do something. We haven't done something for a while. Now that restrictions are lifted, we can do something. And I don't know if that means November or if it means summer, or I think that's something we need to discuss and figure out.
Pulling off something in the late spring, just to thank our community leaders and welcome them back, right? It's a relatively easy thing to pull together, and it wasn't a big budget item really to do that. The big budget is the November dinner, right?
So just for clarification, you'd like us to kind of provide you with some potential feedback or to take to your committee?
Yes,
Okay. Great.
if you could send it to me, and that'd be great.
Can do. That's great, thank you. Deputy Mayor Caldwell, do you have anything that you'd like to highlight?
Thank you. So the rec and culture meeting that we had on March the 3rd, I don't know if we had much conversation around that at the council table, but there was some good, it was my first real meeting that I attended, and there, there's some great plans going forward. We are working on a proposal for the Memorial Garden. I think we were kind of talking about a hybrid, as well as there was a great report brought to us about the potential disc golf. And I think, what are our next steps with that one? Is that?
Oh, yes, that was great.
We sort of had next steps with both of those that we had conversations around. And I don't know if we reached out at all to Public Works to.
Did you get the minutes from the rec and culture meeting? Because there was a couple of recommendations within those minutes.
There was, yeah.
Some of the last meeting, I don't know if we had those particular ones. No, I had the February 7th.
Regarding the process, Ashley does the minutes for us. So is the expectation that the chair of that committee sends them to you, or does she pass them on to you? How do we make sure that you get them?
Generally, you should just pass them on to me.
Okay, okay.
So I guess we'll have more discussion on that then once you receive the minutes and can look at the recommendations going forward with that.
Mhm.
Is that? Great group of people though. And as Councillor Poultry reported on, I attended the Affordable Housing Needs Assessment Engagement session as well, and there was a lot of valuable information, and there are a lot of municipalities that are looking at moving forward with the information that the province is providing us in terms of accessing grants. I think one of the best pop-outs for me was that they have articulated really clearly that they're looking for innovative solutions to housing. They're looking for people to be more sustainable in terms of looking at their housing, and it really spoke to why we explored a specific project and what we did with, sort of that whole mixed market, mixed tenancy kind of approach. And so I agree with Council Poetry that we probably need to explore moving forward with this. I know that we did have a study done, was it in 2017? Alberta Rural Development Network did a study for our municipality at that time. Yeah, and so it's been some time, and at that time it was found, it really spoke to our lack of affordable housing in our community. And they found in fact that our rentals were, at that time, were higher than our neighboring communities. And it might be important to really explore, getting an update on that study, or just digging a little further with that.
Just a question, do you think that this is something that we should dig into at a committee of the whole as one of our topics? That we should,
Absolutely, yeah,
and sooner rather than later?
I think that would be a great idea, because they are, both the province and federal government are within their budget talking about monies that are available.
Yeah, and their new 10-year strategic plan was only launched November of 2021, so
Yeah.
we're just in the implementation phase of this early.
Okay.
So that's part of the engagement, I think, is they're
Yeah.
building the tool set to bring that to the communities where you don't have to hire, the intent with the application was you don't actually have to hire a separate person to do the study with the intent. Then you should be able to gather most of that information from StatsCan and from readily available sources. If you don't have it, they'll work with you on that we don't have to hire outside specialists potentially. That was kind of one of the good news items, that they're there to support small communities like us.
Great, awesome. So is that something we could add to one of our upcoming committees of the whole? Perfect. Anything else? Deputy Mayor Caldwell?
And I believe that was everything else. Thank you.
So I just have two things, one of which is FCSS. I don't think we've actually had a council meeting since I had my FCSS meeting. I do believe I kind of maybe have mentioned this in passing to you guys. But I had a really great discussion with Zach, the executive director, about service levels within Colhurst, and just chatting with him a little bit more about, like how can we increase service levels. One of the things that he had talked a little bit about is that we need to make sure that people in the community know about what's happening, so that they know that they're happening, so that they can go to get us higher service levels. So we have to show that there's need within the community. And he had indicated that, I actually found this interesting when I was doing my own research, is that I was surprised that like Bears River or FCSS doesn't have their own Facebook account. It's actually broken down by municipality. And so I noticed that, I can't remember, I think it was Tabor has a Tabor FCSS Facebook page where they advertise all their stuff. I actually thought that they would have their own that then we could share from. So I think that that's, again, another gap where we need to figure out how are we going to address that through the town's channels to make sure that people are aware of those programs that are happening, and having somebody to help, with making sure those programs are being advertised out to our community so they are aware. So a really great conversation with him. I also requested that he potentially come to one of our meetings to talk to us a little bit more about the program, and so that we can see, how we can continue to expand things within Colhurst as well. I have also noticed that they have, I think it's the Youth Do crew has been sharing some stuff onto the Colhurst page a little bit more so, as well as into the community groups, which is great. So we can see that they are active and they are doing, I think they're doing an event that's coming up right away here. Maybe it might be this weekend, but doing some kind of cool stuff there.
So exciting.
Yeah, so it's exciting to see that that's picking up, and maybe we'll see more stuff too, I guess, even with, with COVID and things like that, kind of the restrictions being gone. The other thing is that I'm requesting that I can attend the finance course that you guys went to. I can't remember, is it the elected official program thing? Yes, the one that started on the 23rd. I would like to attend that since you guys have said that it's so great, and I think, if it's not all finance, I'm there for it. It sounds like it's more than that, so
I'll make that motion.
great, thank you.
So I'll move that Mayor Montina is authorized to attend the EOP finance course.
Municipal planning.
Yeah.
Planning.
You might have to figure out the exact name of the course, but the municipal planning and finance course, starting March 23rd.
Yeah.
Attend virtually. Sorry, that's probably a bit of a mouthful. That would be for Mayor Martina to attend
Mhm.
that course, virtually, I guess.
Yeah, so you're just reminding me there.
I will,
Okay,
what date though?
oh,
I think it's what, Wednesdays, starting March 23rd,
yeah. I
for
think
4
so.
weeks.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. Okay, so now we'll just move on now to external reports. The first one that we have here is Southborough Regional Initiative, and there's an invitation to the annual Economic Development Summit. Is anyone interested in attending that?
I would be, yes.
Councillor Ackerman, is there anyone else that's interested in that?
So I want to take a day off work.
I don't know, it'd be fun. It did say there's lunch,
Hmm.
so that's exciting.
Can we ask, Councillor Ackerman if he,
Yeah.
do you have any information about that day, what that might look like?
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a timeline on there. I think what they have is they got a couple speakers. One of them's talking about rural physician recruitment and retention. Then there's gonna be a panel discussion on labor market trends, challenges and solutions. Discussion on economic recovery for communities with experts from across the province. And then they call it the firing line with insights from key players in Western Canada. I believe those are gonna be like, they asked a bunch of questions to people. And those are just gonna be like recorded responses, and they're gonna kind of highlight the best ones and kind of put that together in a video. And then a presentation from the municipal energy managers talking about how they've saved tens of thousands of dollars for the community.
Are you interested in attending?
You know what, I am, but
No, not this time?
I'm just gonna be coming back from holidays. I don't know that I can take another day off of that. Will you be attending, Councillor Ackerman, that day?
Hopefully. If you guys approve
If
it.
the motion passes.
Oh, yeah, I said, yeah,
Yeah, I'll make a summary for you.
to share the information, that would be wonderful, yeah.
I can make this motion, so I'll move that Councillor Ackerman is hereby authorized to attend the Southborough Regional Initiative 2022 Economic Development Summit in Carmigay on March 30th, 2022. Any discussion?
I apologize, can you include me in that as well? Is that at all possible?
Yes, we sure can. We'll amend this to add Deputy Mayor Caldwell.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. Okay, the next one that we have on here is Southborough's regional initiative. This is regarding our next operation plan at Southborough. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this item?
I just have a comment,
Go
I
ahead.
already filled it out.
Pardon me?
I just have a comment, I already filled it out and submitted my answers, so.
Good, thank you. That was very nice of you. Good, Councillor Atkins?
Just a comment, this is kind of, they're sending it out to everyone, so the more answers they get, the better. So if you guys want to fill it out yourselves, it is recommended from the Southborough side of things.
Thank you. All right, so then we'll just move on here. Would someone like to make a motion to accept the external reports?
I will.
Go ahead.
I move that the external reports presented in this meeting are accepted.
Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried, thank you. Now let's move on to correspondence. Is there anything on here that anyone has any questions on or would like to talk about? If not, would someone like to make a motion to acknowledge the correspondence?
I'll make that motion.
Sure.
I move that the correspondence presented in this meeting is hereby acknowledged and filed.
Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. And then moving on to other business, we did receive, or I believe CEO Ohata received a letter from Chris McIntyre, the principal at the Culver's Elementary School regarding parking. I'm going to turn this over to you, CEO Ohata, to go through this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So basically, a couple of these items were discussed at, I believe, the Policy Bylaw Review Committee recently. So I'm not sure if that's where it came from, but, very similar. So in terms of points 1 and 2, which were discussed, just to let you know that our Director of Operations has reached out to our engineering people to determine, in terms of traffic safety standards, that type of stuff, what would be the recommended way to address these. And as far as number 3 with the designated handicap spaces and that type of stuff, as indicated by our peace officer this evening. There was at one point, if it was under the bylaw, that it was not enforceable, but if it's with the, under the Traffic Safety Act provincially, we can enforce that, so we'll pass that on, and I guess if they have concerns, definitely it's something that can be looked at and monitored a little bit in that sense, so probably for the details coming forward as to how we can address 1 and 2 in the future year, once we get that information back, so.
Council Poetry?
I have a comment. I'm wondering, do you have the sketch you can share with us?
I don't have a sketch.
Or whatever, he said he had a drawing or something, or a sketch.
Already attached.
Yeah, the attached.
I didn't get that off the throat one or something.
Okay.
So it's being shared with our engineers still, right? Or they're going to be communicating with Mr. McIntyre and get his ideas to see if they're viable?
Basically, our director of operations has reached out to our engineers to see if there's a way we can address this on our street. And basically, it's talking mainly about sort of from the community center, there's a little cul-de-sac at the back there where a lot of people go. So it was just talked about, is there a way that you can yellow line it so that people can't park there, maybe sign it, no parking? Something to that effect was discussed at our policy bylaw meeting. But again, it never was intended as that purpose really. It's a dead-end street that is being utilized, I guess, and apparently students access that door or something, so some people utilize that due to, in talking to the principal there, tracking mud and doing different things to the rest of the school, from what I understand. However, they did do a fairly major enhancement in the front of the school with their bus route and obviously their handicap parking spots and that type of stuff and there is provisions even on the streetwise for, student drop off and that type of stuff. So is it something that should even be utilized for that purpose or not?
Councillor Poetry, I think that you were still speaking, then I'm gonna go to Councillor Florence, and then we'll go to you, Deputy Mayor Caldwell.
Well, I use it.
So do
I think what he's alluding to with the mud though is that like that whole area is not paved in the back there, right? Or it's really just the mud pitch, right? And anyway, so I was just curious what his suggestions were, and I think with COVID they put all the students going into the back of doors, where they go to their separate doors. And that's kind of remained, right? So that's where students are getting dropped off back there. So I think it would be nice to address it properly and have, and if you've ever dropped off a child at a time, it can be quite busy at all sides of the school, whether you're dropping off the front or any side, right? So I would appreciate if engineers could look at that, so.
Thank you. Councillor Florence?
Thank you. That was exactly what I was going to say. It was just with COVID that they're doing the different drop-offs at the different doors, but he is not exaggerating when he talks about the back drop-off being a nightmare. It's absolutely disastrous. Looking forward to hearing what comes up from this.
Deputy Mayor Caldwell?
Thank you. I know that this has come forward to us before. Prior to the updates that they made in the front, they approached us and wanted to have that back area there for use by the school, and they were looking at paving it. That location there was held specifically for the town with the anticipation that they were going to, that we were going to expand on the community center. And so that piece of property has been held for that purpose. We know that we're outgrowing that space and we need more community space. And so in those conversations with the school, and I don't believe that the school board actually got involved at that time. I think that they were looking more for the town to address the concerns that the school had in terms of drop off and parking and all those kinds of things. But when we expressed that we were unable to, give them that piece of property, that's when they did the new area. And so there is some history here. But there was also some concern that came up that if we do start looking at creating a formal drop-off location on our property, and it's not engineered correctly, and if there are problems with, the congestion of traffic and children coming in contact with congested traffic, that there's going to be some concern that's brought on our shoulders because we've created that location for them to do that. So in these spots that they've created for drop-off in the front, my understanding was that they had created enough spots for drop-off. They have the bus. Now, the bus doesn't block the streets, right? They go in.
No, it's about parent drop-off, right, is what it is.
Yeah.
There's almost no spots for parent drop-off at the front. You have to, and I guess it really comes down to cold days, right? This is what it comes down to.
So I would challenge, and I would challenge all of us, and I was a parent who did it as well. My children were smaller in Lethbridge, and I would challenge everybody to go to city schools and look at where parent drop-offs take place. They take place on streets, and some of them have that little bit of a curve in there that they fight with buses. So I just, I want us to be conscious.
I agree that there's not a lot of great opportunities in some communities.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that's not the best solution.
No, but I'm just saying that we're not incredibly deficient in comparison. We're similar to what other communities have, right?
Sorry, I'll go, then I'll let you go. I guess that one of my things is that just because we say that people shouldn't do it doesn't mean they're not gonna do it. Like, and I think that like, I still think that like that's the natural place where people are going. Like, I would be very curious to see what that report said and see if we could address it, because I think that is, I kind of look at it, it's kind of like meeting people where they're at. That's kind of what they're doing. And so how do we help fix the problem or alleviate that or whatever that might look like? Again, I don't know what the cost is or anything about this, but I would like to look into that a little bit more, so to see what that could be. Councilor Florence and then Councilor Potry.
I'm good, that was good summary statement.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and Chris Rectar, he's not an engineer, but he's saying it's just painted some signs, right? So if that can be addressed that way, then it seems like a very low cost solution.
And I think if our public works can reach out to him and get that information to share with the engineers, I'm just giving some background context to this, and some of the concerns that have come up in the past that if we do go in, because if we go in, and I believe at that time we did put a new layer of gravel down, and we did invest some money in taking away sort of that mud hole, but it really only lasted for a number of years again, right? We want to know what we're spending when we're putting more money into that place.
I'll just add something and see, I don't know if you had something.
Yeah, just further to Deputy Mayor Caldwell, I mean, there was actually a brief agreement that we had to kind of split some costs for doing a little bit of graveling or whatever in that sort of vacant area between the hall and the school. However, it was just some basic gravel. Then there was problems if we went further with any kind of pavement for teacher parking and that kind of stuff. There was the drainage issue of the drainage would be possibly headed right back to the school. So that kind of complicated things there as well, just the way it went on there. And as a result, nothing really ever happened other than I think we did throw down a little bit of gravel and graded it just a bit, but that's about as far as it went.
I think ultimately at the end of the day, it has more to do with the cul-de-sac, because what's happening is that it gets so congested in there and people are kind of parking on both sides, and so it leaves a very narrow lane for people to go in. And so you almost have to back up and like scoot out, and that's where they're worried that kids are gonna get hit from that component. I think the mud is kind of more of a vanity thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, and from my perspective, I remember we had talked about this at one point, but he was looking at it more from that safety for the children, in that part. All right, so just to clarify with this then, you're connecting back with him regarding the handicap stalls, and that component, and then the other part is being worked on by at this point.
Yeah, there's been some communication already with them in terms of some of that, so.
Do we have sort of a budget line item for engineers to work on this with the school?
Well, at this point, I guess we do have a certain amount of basic engineering in most departments, I guess, if you want to call it. So I mean, if it turns out to be anything extensive or whatever, then obviously we would, be looking at a proposal and approaching council or something in that sense. I mean, right now it's just, is there a way we can limit that parking? I'm saying basically no parking, because as the mayor's indicated, it's a lot of teachers that are parking there, and the parents have no place, can't wiggle around in there, and that's where the problems are occurring. So maybe the school needs to look at an alternative for some of the teacher parking as well, to get rid of that, because if we do put the no parking there, then they won't have that choice at all either. It might make it better, but then it'll be enforcement of it too.
I just know that, you don't just phone an engineer and ask them to look at something without a cost associated.
Great. All right, so now we're going to move to adjournment. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn at 9:15 p.m.?
I'll make that motion.
You wanna make that motion?
I move to adjourn the meeting at 9:15 PM.
All in favor? That's carried. Great, thank you.
We weren't as bad as
Only
you
15
thought.
minutes late.
There we go. We did it. So we met the 9:30.
All right, good meeting.
I should show you what we did, Heather, for this elementary school. We did have some sitting where it's a drop. Just drop off. We spent like half a million dollars.
Do you know what? This is what we were supposed to be doing when they put that